Hello and welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm your host, Talor Whitaker. Today we'll discuss a broad range of topics from the 2019 Indiana legislative session, and joining me right now with his take is Representative John Bartlett. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
You have been in this position for a dozen years, 12 years. Does it feel like it's been that long?
Sometimes it feels like longer than that.
Yeah. Like 20 years. That's what you were telling me before. That's crazy. Have you seen a lot of changes? Has Indiana kind of ebbed and flowed the way you think it should?
It's ebbed and flowed.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes the way I think it should, and sometimes the way I don't think it should.
Such as government, though.
I'm talking about government. Sometimes I think we get too involved on the wrong things.
Right.
And sometimes I think we author legislation off of emotions rather than statistical data.
Yes.
And I think that's scary.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about the things that do matter, the things that are important that you're working on. Specifically, what's going on around your district?
In my district, we started something. A lady by the name of Miss Abby Veska came to me with an idea. At one time, she was homeless, and she knows the needs of homeless folk. So now we do what we call laundry and more in House District 95. And on Tuesdays from 10 to 2, you can come to the laundromat at 4212 North Post Road, and you can get your laundry done free. That's
amazing. I mean, not only is that that's a self-sufficient skill to have, right? But it's affording people clean clothes.
Absolutely.
And it has health properties as well, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now we're trying to get a mobile shower, see if we can find someone that can do a mobile shower. So to have clean clothes and your body not clean is not really a great thing either. But that's we want to incorporate that along with the laundry and more.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, some meatier stuff that you've got going on as far as criminal justice reform and other legislation on the table. Tell me about that as well.
Well, criminal justice reform, I wanted a 2-year summer study. I didn't get a hearing on it this year, but I think I will probably next session. Yeah. But we use the same criminal justice system that we used when Jesse James was robbing trains.
Oh my goodness.
And so I think it's now time for us to take a real hard look at that. And say John Bartlett makes a mistake. He goes to court and the judge sentences him to 10 years. Well, if we have psychiatrists, psychologists, and other therapists, teachers, criminal justice folk inside the wall, and they can help me get from point A to point B. Statistics say that 33 to 40% of the people who are incarcerated are not criminals but have mental health issues. So if you have folk inside the wall who can help you get past that, and after you reach certain benchmarks, you can then go back to the court, and those folk can verify that you've reached those benchmarks, and the judge can commute the balance of your sentence.
Now, is the archaic nature of these laws kind of what drives you and what interests you in bringing this about?
No, I think we have too many people in prison.
Okay.
And we talk about reentry. We talk about how should we punish Talor if she makes a mistake, but we don't really deal with the root causes of why those mistakes are made.
Right.
And I think it's time we look at that.
And now, you said you're hopeful that you're going to get a hearing for this next year. Why do you think it was stalled this year?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so you're hopeful that it's going to go through next year.
Yeah.
So that is what we will be hopeful as well. Is there anything else on the horizon for you?
Yes, human trafficking. Human trafficking in 2016 was a $154 billion a year industry.
Yeah.
And the average age in 2016 was 13 years old. I think that figures over 200 billion a year now, and I think the average age is probably around 10 and a half. If you remember last February, they had a human trafficking bust here in the state of Indiana, in Annapolis, Lafayette, and South Bend.
Yes.
And they arrested 128 adults. They recovered 82 juveniles. The youngest was 3 months old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so like human trafficking, most folk are uneducated on it, and we really need to do a better job of educating folk on human trafficking. There are 4 parts to it. You have the sex trade, you have the slave labor trade, then you have the human organ trade, where they just cut you open and sell you off like car parts. And then you have along the East Coast now, I'm understanding that they are kidnapping girls and breeding them and selling the babies. So you got the baby farms too. So, and we need to deal with that. We need to educate the masses on that.
I know. It feels like you're almost outsmarted in some ways with how big this industry is, and it seems like an uphill battle, but it's worth the fight.
Well, 3 weeks ago, 3 billionaires were caught up into that human trafficking. And one of those billionaires who was given, I think, a 15-month sentence, excuse me, and he owns his own island. So I would like for the FBI to look at his island to see what's going on there.
Definitely, definitely. Well, thank you for sharing all of that invaluable information. We appreciate your service.
All right, thank you.
And thank you for joining us from the Indiana State House. This is Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Talor Whitaker.